It's the end of January in the garden and I'm digging up some horseradish. It's the perfect time of the year to dig up horseradish. Although it is starting to shoot a little bit, you can see the little green shoots starting to come, but horseradish is one of the roots that actually I would take up any time of the year because I love it fresh, and so you can just dig up a little bit of the root any time of the year and use that grated into food or whatever you want to do with it. But generally, yeah, in winter we dig it up at this time of year and make different remedies from it. And it's the perfect time of year really to have horseradish because it's still winter, it's still cold, and here in Ireland it is really damp. And one of the best things about this hot and pungent herb is that it expels all that dampness. It dries up all that mucus, it expectorates all the mucus from winter time and that stagnation, and it moves everything. So it's really nice. As I said, it's hot and it's pungent, and so for colder climates it's ideal. And it's useful for things like even colds and flus as an expectorant, and for moving mucus either in the respiratory tract, or it is known as well as a herb for UTIs, so urinary tract infections, because it moves and it affects the mucous membranes in lots of different areas of the body. If you take too much of it, it can be quite an irritant to the digestive tract. So if you're digging up horseradish and you're taking it, don't go nuts on it. Even if you really like hot and pungent foods, take it easy because it can irritate the GI tract. But generally what it does is it actually helps the mucous membranes secrete more mucus, and that's why it's an expectorant. And it's a really lovely warming herb. It's warming for the circulation, it's warming for the muscles, and that's why it's quite nice for respiratory things and colds and flus as well, just because of that warming nature that it has. And as I said, it's a diuretic, so that's why it's useful for UTIs. It actually helps you excrete urine. So one of the lovely things I really like to use horseradish for is actually for the sinuses. Because this is a bit mucky now, so I won't taste it, but this beautiful white root of the horseradish, as I said, is really hot, and it really clears, it opens up and it clears the sinuses. So it's a really nice sinus remedy. And the way I would like to use it is usually in vinegars, or we also tincture it, so we make it in tinctures, and I'd add that into tinctures for people who have a lot of coldness in them and a lot of dampness in them. We also just use it fresh, or you can dry it. And keep it dried. Some people make syrups out of it, so there's lots of different uses, but it has a really good nutritional value too. It's full of vitamin C and vitamin A and zinc, and also chromium and magnesium and phosphorus and potassium, so to name a few things that it's quite high in. So there's some really nice vitamins and minerals that you should be getting into, so it's a great food. And it is part of the cruciferous family, so that's the brassica family, so like your cauliflowers and your cabbages, and in the same way that those family members have glucosinolates in them, or isothiocyanates in them, horseradish is the same, and it's one of the reasons it gives it this really nice mild antibiotic action. And it does need to be crushed in the same way, or chopped up fine in the same way that garlic does, so that it the chemicals go through this process that shifts it into making it more useful for us as a nice antibiotic. All those cruciferous family vegetables are quite detoxifying, and so is horseradish in the same way. So it is a really nice vegetable to have, and it's just a really great thing to have in the garden all the time. And as I said, this is winter time now, and in Ayurvedic medicine it's our kapha time of year. We're still in kapha time, probably till the end of April. So we really need to eat these warming spices to kind of dispel all that stagnation that's taken place. Because the other thing that horseradish is great for is a digestive aid. It actually stimulates the digestion, stimulates the appetite, stimulates those secretions. We've just had our third baby, and I'm actually feeling quite stagnant after winter, and kind of mucus filled as well. And in pregnancy is all about building up kapha. So after having a baby, you do feel quite stagnant and kapha filled. So that's one of the reasons I want to take horseradish right now as well. And as I said, it stimulates the digestion and the appetite, and it gets things moving after that stagnation of wintertime. So it's a really great spring vegetable to be adding into the diet. But you can also take it in summertime too, because as I said, it expels and disperses heat around the body. So not just wintertime, like hot things are useful in summertime as well, because if there's excess heat in the body, you want to expel that heat as well. And it's lovely for the lungs. It's actually kind of a tonic for the lungs in the same way that garlic would be, or thyme. So it's quite a nice thing. So mostly that kind of phlegmatic kind of issues in the lungs are due to cold and damp. And that's when you want to think of something like horseradish is a really nice remedy for moving that cold and damp. But there are times where there could be heat present if there's those kind of phlegmatic issues in the lungs, and then you wouldn't use horseradish. So it doesn't suit people who are quite hot and heated or excess heat conditions, but generally for cold conditions and cold mucus stagnating kind of issues and sluggish digestion that comes with that kapha, then it's ideal. And other things that are really nice about it is that it can be used for things like, it's a food really, it can be used for parasites. So if you wanted to take horseradish as a food alongside things like ginger, thyme and sage, it is useful for expelling parasites as well. But best to go to your naturopath or your herbalist to get best advice on how to incorporate Amoracia, which is a horseradish, into the diet for those kind of issues. So they're just some of the things I really like to do with horseradish. So I'm just digging up some of it here, and you can see, as I said, there's loads of clumps of it here. This horseradish is only about a couple of years old. There would have been little bits of roots that we took up and replanted here. So we do that all the time, and as I said, you can dig it up and take it up any time of the year. It is thought of as invasive. It will spread around your garden and take over, but if you are using it regularly, then it won't do that. And as I said, you can always just dig it up and get rid of it. So, or dig it up and dry it, or dig it up and make some remedies from it. So we've never found it to be too invasive because we use it all the time. We make tinctures, we make vinegars from it, etc. So I'm always digging it up. So this is only a 2-year-old root and it's quite thick. And what I'll do is I'll just wash these off gently, and I won't peel them. I'll just wash them, scrub them with a brush, and tincture them or put them into vinegar as well to make vinegar out of them, and probably dry some as well. So you can see other bits of it, the horseradish all over here, and it does need to be taken up because it's spreading a little bit, so that's fine. And I'm just going to dig up a few more bits. But definitely that's one of the things I'm really looking forward to, taking my horseradish now, just grated on top of food, grated into dishes, into sauces, just to get that stagnation from winter moving and get that phlegmatic, heaviness that you feel after winter out of the body. So I'm just going to dig up a few more bits here, and you can see the size of some of those roots here. It goes in quite deep. It does like a damp soil. It doesn't like quite dry soil, and it can take a while to get going actually. So if you have your horseradish, you might want to leave it for a year or so, just to get it big enough for you to be able to dig up enough. Look at that, all those roots are quite deep and they're just breaking off. But all these little bits, oh, there's a nice one there, are as useful. You can see the lovely colour of the roots there. And then it's really nice and white inside, and you can actually smell it, it's quite spicy. You can already smell it and it's gorgeous, I love it. I actually love that kind of spicy taste. So I'm going to dig up this whole clump here, and just pull out those roots, and I'm leaving some roots here and they'll come back, and that's completely fine. Even if I put that in, it would actually grow under the horseradish plant, or any of these small bits of roots that would grow under the horseradish plant. So that's why it's thought of to be invasive. And here's a whole root ball here that again I'm just going to scrub with a brush and some water, and just this whole root ball here can be chopped up and made into some remedies. And if I wanted to break off a few of these bits, I can make some more plants too. So that's a little bit about horseradish from the garden at the end of January. If you don't have horseradish and you're looking to buy horseradish plants, you can always get them from our herb nursery. So yeah, check out the website, and yeah, hopefully we'll do some remedy making with some horseradish as well, do some videos on that. Okay, thanks.